Well, hey there, everybody. Welcome right into the studio. Thank you for tuning in. I am your host, Josh Cary, and this is the Hidden Entrepreneur Show. But it's not just any Hidden Entrepreneur Show. It is the 50th. I said 50th, episode 50 of the Hidden Entrepreneur Show. Can you believe it? Which I hear is a big deal, a nice milestone. And to help us celebrate, our guest is also a big deal, a really nice milestone. Certainly to me, he's been inspirational. He's been pivotal in every way throughout the entire last year of my life, least of which helping develop this very brand and so much more. For one thing, he was my guest on episode 001. So I thought it would be great to get him back. And dare I say, back he is. Help me welcome, it's the five-figure work week himself, the very brandable, the very lovable. It's Michael Marcial. What's doing, my man Michael?
Hey, what is up? Josh Cary, Hidden Entrepreneur Show, episode 50. I freaking cannot, I can't even, nobody knows what that really means. Unless you put out a podcast, like, this is incredible. 50
well, tell
episodes.
Me, I barely know what it means. What does it mean? Does it mean anything?
You know what? It means everything, and it means nothing at the same time. The everything part is that, man, anything that we want to do in our life, I mean, this is big picture thinking. Anything that we want to do in our life, it takes a lot: consistency, dedication, time, effort, money. It takes all of these things, and I don't know if most people really get that, diving into whatever it is that they're doing. So hitting 50 episodes, man, like I can't think of most new shows that come out that hit like 12 episodes. You know what I mean? Like, hitting 50 is incredible. So congrats, and I'm freaking stoked to be here, honored, and just ready to rock and roll, man.
I love it. So I have a very typical format for all of my shows, but I'd like to stray a little bit. We'll take some freedom from that format, and it'll be a little bit more conversational. I'd like to get out parts of my story. I know people always ask me that they want to hear, so I'm like, oh, what better time to banter with Michael Marcial on that front. So we'll make sure to hit some good points for both of us, and like you say, deliver the value. I want to start with your brand. I've always loved it, as I know so many do. Five-figure work week. Now, I am no mathematician, but I think that a five-figure work week is $10K per week. You multiply it out, you're bringing in revenue of $500,000. Is that the deal? Is that what we're working towards?
That's the goal right there. Five-figure work week. Now we also know, I'm no mathematician either, but 5 figures, that's a pretty broad range when you really think about it.
Right.
That's 10K.
I just made the minimum, right?
That's the minimum. That's the starting point. That's also $99,999. Right? Like, so there's so many cool things that can happen here. And I appreciate you saying that you love the brand. I freaking love the brand, and I think that's where it gets to start. And yeah, absolutely. You talked about delivering value, 1,000,000%. I love just sharing my knowledge, my history, my experience, the tests that I do on the daily basis. What's working, what's not working right now in entrepreneurship, especially online, and how we can create a business that can provide, that could substantiate making $10,000 or more in a 5-day period. So
wow.
Yeah, that's the goal, and we've got the mastermind going strong, which is cool. Almost at 4,600 members now.
I'm a member. I'm not only a fan, I'm a member, right? Isn't that what they say?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, a
Let's
million percent.
Let's talk about brand for a minute. So for you, you have the 5-Figure Workweek brand, but there's also Michael Marcial, the brand. And since creating the Hidden Entrepreneur, I've sort of felt this pull. I could either show up and direct the Hidden Entrepreneur brand, but also I think there's something significant to be said about Josh Cary, the brand, and where he fits into that and how he shows up through that. What do you say about that?
Well, absolutely. That's the name of the game. I think so many people step into, and this is beautiful. And I hope we do get to dive into the hidden entrepreneur, what that really means to you, Josh, because this is the thing that I see the most is that people put their time and effort into a business brand, i.e. the 5-Figure Workweek, i.e. Hidden Entrepreneur. And that's their thing. They're trying to sell that. They're trying to get people involved in that thing. But in reality, that doesn't work so easily, so simply. It's just one of those things. And really what it takes nowadays, especially in our position where we are the face, we are the voice of our brand, you've got to show up and show people who you are. They get to know what you're all about. They get to know what your likes and dislikes are. I mean, it's just down to the finite detail of who that person is behind the brand. That's the only thing that's going to, in my opinion, drive an overall brand. And so, having said that, like, I'm really curious, and maybe we flip the script a little bit. We're going a little off kilter here, but like, when you think about Josh Cary, when you think about hidden entrepreneur, I mean, what does that really mean to you? What does that signify?
Well, certainly a great question, and one that I think I'm continually exploring because some days I'm just not sure whatsoever. I don't know how to define myself. I sometimes don't know how to label myself. But then I think, well, do I need to? Probably not. Should I? Do I just show up as me with what I'm feeling, what I'm doing? Do I go with the flow? So I created Hidden Entrepreneur. When it came to me, I was like, my God, that was it. I was trying to think of, okay, what angle of entrepreneurship do I want to dive into and show up as? And I was thinking about, what I like, who I am, what I enjoy. I was like, well, I'm creative. Am I the creative entrepreneur? Yes, no. And then I was, okay, well, I've spent all this time, decades really, my whole darn life in fear. I was limited by fear, and dare I say, I was hiding behind fear. So I was like, the hidden entrepreneur. So I immediately, what did I do? I went online and I Googled it, hidden entrepreneur. And I was like, please don't exist. Please don't exist. Please don't exist. Right? You just hope that it doesn't exist. Nobody's doing it yet. The domain may even still be available. So I Googled it and I was like, wow, it doesn't exist. That's so cool. It feels right. And that's one thing that I've learned to accept, embrace, and utilize. Trust myself, right? Trust my instincts, trust my gut. So the hidden entrepreneur just felt so right. And I was like, it makes sense for me. I've been hiding. I've been showing up in the world for 40 plus years with a mask on, trying to appease and please everybody and anybody who would listen, and just try to be the person that I thought they expected or wanted me to be. And that gets exhausting. After 40 years, let me tell you, that gets tiring. It gets really tiring. It also gets very tiring when you then have two small children. I try to shout out to my adorable children. I love them so. I didn't know this was going to happen. Spoiler alert, I became a father, not knowing, oh, I am now going to become a father, right? I mean, it all happened perfectly, but I was putting it off and putting it off. I was then 39 years old. I think the universe said, dude, you're overdue here. It's time. You're going to be a good father. And lo and behold, there was a child waiting, through usual routes. And I had my first child when I was 39, a beautiful daughter, Danica, who's now 5. And I said, well, this is kind of cool. Let's do this again. And I now have a sweet, adorable son, Harrison, who's 3. And when you're showing up, trying to appeal to everybody in any regard, and then you have 2 small, impressionable children looking up at you and saying, oh, that's the way the world works. And it's like, no, don't follow what I'm doing. I'm screwy right now. Okay, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. You just do what you should be doing. And it's like, well, that's not how it works. They have no choice but to look and follow me as the example. So I was like, I got to get this right. I don't want to be down the road as a proud father who has, my kids are now off, and let's say I'm an empty nester. They're on their own. I don't want to be, rocking in my rocking chair, seeing them making the same terrible choices that I made because they had no other choice but who to watch and learn from. And I could have done something in the years past, but now in that terrible looking future, I could not do anything but try to hope that they just do as good as they can. So I said, I got to get this right. I got to get it right. I got to stop appealing to everybody. I got to show up as myself, work through all that uncomfortable fear, and just make good things happen.
Boom. I freaking love this. This is great. Like, people listening, I hope their minds are freaking blown. And you know what? Bigger than that, like, I had so many, ahas where I'm like, oh yeah, I've been there. I've felt that. Totally get it. That's incredible. And so it feels like we're like, I'm interviewing you now. This is interesting. But like, I'm really curious. So you go through this, you experience this. This is life. I love your spoiler alert that you became a dad. I love that. And then and then here we are, Hidden Entrepreneur, and the show, and 50 episodes, and all these other cool things happening. Like, tell me about that. I mean, you went from just living life and experiencing and just kind of like accepting what was going on. And then you made this shift to take your control of that, right? Like, you took the mask off and it's game time. Like, tell me about that. What's 50 episodes mean to you? What does this all look like for you?
Well, the whole concept of the Hidden Entrepreneur is stop living behind fear, because that's really the only thing that was holding me back, and that grips you and keeps you back. And the frustrating part over every day of all those years, it becomes more frustrating because I consciously knew that, God, this shouldn't be happening. I would say, why is this happening? But I deep down, and sometimes not deep down, knew why it was happening and why I was hitting walls and why I was in these frustrating circumstances, situations, whether they were in personal life, social life, business life. You want certain things. You're like, oh, I'm going to get it. And then you don't. You never do. And then it's like, oh, why? I'm better than this. I could show up differently than this. What's happening? And then you see other people doing what you want to be doing, and what comes up? A lot of jealousy, a lot of anger, a lot of resentment. That's okay. And it's coming up because you want to be doing that. You should be doing that. When the script is flipped and you're showing up as authentically yourself, and you see those same people, you no longer have those jealous, anger, or frustrating feelings. You love it. You support it. You're like, yes, go, brother or sister, go. You're all the same now because you see how it's working. And that's the big relief. So it was so frustrating because I knew that all of this time, oh God, come on. I'm better than this. I have more to offer. And everybody can feel that way if they allow themselves to and act upon that. We all know our strengths. We all know what we can offer the world. If we excuse that, it's just that we're making an excuse. So I was just relieved to say, okay, I'm going to create this brand, which became the Hidden Entrepreneur. Its mission and purpose is to help others, like I'm helping myself, show up as themselves in spite of that fear, and to understand what's causing it, what's been happening, and to walk through that. So I knew if I'm going to do this, I got to literally do this. So now, and what I've done and what I continue to do is I welcome all of that fear, all of those uncomfortable moments. I'm acknowledging that you have to push yourself further and further as often as you possibly can. And that's the only way you grow. And that's the only way you gain and obtain the confidence. And slowly but surely, things happen. Then also, I needed to take cold, hard inventory of what the heck am I doing and feeling that does not serve me. We all have these habits where we soothe, where we medicate in a variety of multiple ways. And I was like, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. And that's what I'm doing. I got to stop all of that. Now, it's not just about stopping that. It was about replacing slowly but surely. Don't, go for the big insurmountable task. Just do one little thing that you can do to make one better choice. That's it. Everything is a choice. You either do it or you don't, but you are choosing to do it or you are choosing not to do it. You want to make an excuse, fine, don't do it, but you're choosing not to do it. But if you want to do it, find one little thing, just gain a smidge of momentum that you can do. And that's slowly but surely what I started doing. And then I started noticing the universe, people, events, connections started supporting that. And then I didn't see all of the negative crap in my world because I wasn't focusing on it. And I just looked ahead to where I wanted to go and made things happen.
Bada bing, bada boom. Josh Cary. This is why you've got 50 episodes. This is it. Damn, like years of knowledge. This is what I love. So many people, I really do believe this. And I'm saying this from my heart and from experience personally. I think there are so many people on this planet that pretend not to know what they need to know to do the thing. Right? They pretend that they're not aware of what's holding them back or who's holding them back.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And we pretend. That's another mask that we put on because it's comfortable, because
it's easier.
The usual, right? And this is what I love is that you were willing to take off that mask, not only for yourself, but here's what I love is that you took a stand and you created a platform like this that people that desperately need to hear these messages that need to interact with you and your guests get to experience. And I think it's like an ultimate remembering, like remember who you really are. Take this mask off. Be known to the world. Take a stand for what you love. And here you are doing that. And so I commend you, man. 50 episodes is not a simple task by any means. And I want people to know, like, I want people to really hear me when I say this. It's not just like, oh, you talked for 50 chunks of time, right? It's not just simply that. There's a mindset that comes with wanting to share information and wanting to reach out to more people, wanting to assist and help your brothers and sisters. And so it's incredible what you've created here. Let me ask you this. We're way off topic here, but like, what's 2019 looking like for Josh Cary? Like, what's next? I mean, what's the vision that you're hoping to step into?
Oh, you're going there. You went there.
I did. I went there.
And it's a valid question because I've sat down recently and I mapped that out. I was like, okay, what do I want to do in 2019? Some of the things that I want to do is I have this, all this time as we do, we're always growing, we're learning, we're evolving. So I'm getting a big grasp on the message and who I am, what I'm about, what I'm doing, who I'm doing it for. Those are very difficult questions to arrive at. And quick side note, so much of my life, especially in this chunk of the journey through the Hidden Entrepreneur, I've been able to, first of all, second side note. So now I'm 2 side notes back for those that are keeping track and following along. I was, for the better part of 4 decades, the epitome of anxious. and anxiety filled, right? I made Woody Allen look like, I don't know, fill in your own blank there, but I'm sure there's a good blank. So I was all about the anxiety and all of that. And one of the great things is one of my terrible habits is I used to bite my nails. I hated that habit about myself, but I did it constantly. I bite, I pick, it was just terrible. And miraculously, I didn't even have to think about stopping. I was just able to, through the replacing the negative habits with the better ones, I was miraculously able to stop biting my nails. So I took all of this anxiety and refocused it into better positive habits. So with my message, I've been able to, you can't wake up one morning and say, okay, this is the brand, this is who I am, this is the message, this is who I'm serving. It sort of has to, you sort of have to evolve and create it and define it. So because I was less anxiety filled, I replaced that with an air of faith or trust. And I'm not saying it has to be religious or spiritual or in any way, but it just has to exist in the way it can exist for you. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to accept the fact that I am okay with not knowing today who I'm serving, for example, or what I'm really stepping into, but it will come. And you know what? It did, and it does, and it continues to grow. So with that, some of the bullet points that I'm going to achieve in this year include I'm gonna be speaking on a lot more stages, which is fantastic. I love that. Many people who listen to me, aside from talking about my children every chance I get, I always reference the fact that I spent 15 years as a professional actor and filmmaker. I lived in New York, living that dream. And so I take a lot of that skill and technique and ability with me into everything I do. I still love the stage, right? Back then, it was colored with an air of trying to gain some external approval. But now it's a little more healthy. So I love being on stage. I love doing workshops around town and around the country with in-person people to share and help them with the message and all of that. I have a book coming out that I'm going to be releasing at the end of 2019. So things like that are going strong.
I love that. I love that. Well, and for the person listening, I mean, you hear Josh all the time. You're subscribed, you're listening, you're following along on social media. But we had the opportunity to do an event together out in Las Vegas, and
Brilliant.
It was incredible. It was incredible. I mean, all details aside, from being in person and laying down some really cool content. I got to experience you, Josh, in person, and masterful to say the least. I mean,
thank you.
Not just it's not just an act. I think that's the important part. I think so much of what happens in an online kind of situation is we put out our best foot, right? We're putting out our best of everything, and you really brought it back to who you are, what got you started, what you focus on. And it was so genuine. It was really, really cool to see. So I'm giving you a plug. I don't have to do this, and you didn't ask me to do this, but guys and gals, if you ever have a situation where you need an incredible person to come drop some real value, Josh Cary is your man. Period. Do that. Okay, so plug complete. So do you ask me questions? Like, I don't even know what we're doing now.
By the way, I hope you don't mind, and I'll just ask for your permission. Can I pull that audio quote and play it on a Super Bowl commercial?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
You can.
Great.
Well, you know that 1,000,000%. You'll always have my recommendation, Josh.
I appreciate you very much. Certainly, and I've told you, and I'll continue to tell you, you have been pivotal in helping me, and the feeling is certainly mutual. It's great.
Cool.
Let me ask you a couple of questions. Right, because it goes both ways. Again, this is, for the record, this is what I hoped for. This kind of sort of off script, sort of different platform for episode 50, using it to further get my audience caught up if they aren't connecting the dots into who I am, what I'm about, and where I've come from, and where I'm going. So for you, I know part of your story. Some of our story overlaps. I know you have a very young daughter that you're equally as adoring of. So that's amazing. How has that relationship in itself brought you to the person you are today?
Oh, boom. Yeah, it's been, gosh, like I can't even describe it. So I won't. Okay, next question. No, so my little girl, she just turned 6 this past September as of the recording of this episode, and man, she blows me away today. Just the most brilliant, just loving, thoughtful, like intellectual little girl. I'll say 6-year-old because that puts her in a different category than Danica, and and so like you can listen back to episode 1. I think I shared a little bit of this, but here I am in, this is now 5.5 years ago, 5-ish years ago, making a transition from consulting these big companies where my identity was, right, I was this young hotshot, super attractive consultant dude making a healthy 6 figures, had the house, the cars, the wife. Spoiler alert, I don't have the wife, and um, bringing it full circle on that one. And
I don't
so,
have the wife.
just being clear, and here I am 5 years ago, just a mess. I give up the consulting gig, which I'd been doing for 9 years, building everything off of that. Here I am, the family guy, consultant dude. Well, now I'm not the consultant dude. Now I'm not the family guy. We go through a separation and a divorce, and newsflash, it wasn't that my job was overly chaotic. It was actually really easy for me. It wasn't that my family life, it was like really terrible and really heavy and really difficult, because it wasn't really any of those things. I wasn't the person strong enough internally at that point to handle all of those things, handle the responsibilities of doing these big things in business and in life. And it all started to crumble on me. And so here I am going through a really tough transition, not really sure who I am, not sure what to do, not sure where the next paycheck's coming from, and blowing through my savings. And gosh, that little girl, you know, I think sometimes, and I'm just going to say it, I think sometimes we're afraid to say that like our affiliation is religious or spiritual or universal or energetic. Mine is I'm very clear that I have a higher power that has designed my life. I'm okay saying that. Okay, I will take that stance. But here I am in my car, and my little girl, who I get the opportunity to be dad to, when I tell her the first time that I can't have her over the weekend because I don't have my apartment anymore, and I don't say these words exactly, but I've been evicted from my apartment, and she tells me with little to no emotion, she just looks at me with all left brain logic, and she says, well, Dad, just make more money. And blows my mind that it's that. I mean, it really is that simple. I get to take action to support and take care of myself, my daughter, my future family, my people, my friends, you fill in the blank, the world, right? And it all in an instant flashed for me that like, here I have the opportunity to be a great dad to this little girl. And flash backwards, at age 3, realizing that my mom and dad went through a divorce, realizing that I didn't see my dad all that often. And later in life, not seeing my dad almost at all, and knowing the impact that had on me, and knowing that my own dad probably went through a lot of the same things that I'm going through now. And I had the decision, do I perpetuate this cycle within my own family, do I allow this to be possibly multi-generational, or do I put my foot down and do the quote unquote hard thing of just figuring it out? And that's exactly what I did. And, I, for those that aren't necessarily wanting to go back and listen to episode 1, newsflash, I figured some things out in a really quick succession because I wanted to, because I was tired of pretending like it was hard. It's not hard. And, there's so many studies out there. I'm just now recently getting into like physical fitness. I haven't really taken care of my physical self in a little while, so I'm getting in shape. I'm gonna release some calendars or something cool soon. That's on my 2019. Okay?
In 12 different uniforms.
What's that?
In 12 different uniforms.
Oh yeah. You better believe it. 2020 calendar is on everyone's desk. Oh, coming soon. Okay, 5-figure work week. The calendar is going to be released, and here's what I've realized in both theory and in practice is that every study that I've seen boils down to this one glaring fact that physically, and I'm going to extrapolate this into almost every area of our life. When we feel like we're at our maximum, we're at usually 60% capacity. 60% capacity, meaning we have 40% more in us, meaning we have almost another 50% to go before we're at 100%. Okay, so I tested this out in theory. I'm like, okay, I'm here in the gym. Can I, sure, I can do 10 reps here, but could I do 12? Could I do 14? And the answer is 9 times out of 10, yeah, I can. And this right here blows my mind. And it comes back to full circle to the question that you asked, how important is my daughter? Every time I think that I'm tired, every time that I think, oh my gosh, how many more things can go wrong today? When I think, oh my gosh, like everything's heavy, or like everything's going really well, everything's amazing, how much more amazing could it actually be? How much longer can I go running at like a 12, 15, 18, 20 hour day if needed, right? Like how much more do I have to give? Am I really serving my people at the level at which I know I can, right? Like that's where my brain goes. And every time I think of the hardship, and every time I think about the really great things, I think about my daughter and what she said to me. It's just like as simple as the thing that she said, which was impactful, but the meaning behind it, to me, it says, well, how much more, like, how hard is this really? Like, are you willing to allow generation after generation of divorce, relationship not working, relationship not working, relationship not working? How long are you going to allow that to go? And do I even matter to you to make a change? That's deep. That's deep. And it goes back to when I was 3 years old, right? Like, so it's this massive cycle. And she is literally the reason why I think I'm still on this planet. There's so many times I could have just easily, because I was so just washed out, so neutral on whether I was going to live or not, that like that was the tipping point in my opinion, the right direction, where I'm on fire. Like I could do 10 of these episodes back to back and keep going, and then go fly out to LA next week and speak on stage, and then come back and do another event on Saturday, and then and then continue living. Like this is what it can feel like. You can be on fire all day. You can talk to guys like Josh Cary. You can do cool things. You could create a 5-figure work week like that. Nothing is out of range. Just this morning, and I know this is a little bit ranty. Just this morning, I posted something in the mastermind. A little numbers. I was fibbing earlier. I am a bit of a mathematician. I went to school for math, actually, and I know here's something crazy. Just the 1% difference is all it takes. A 1 degree difference in your trajectory makes all the difference. That 1 degree, you change something small, one time ever, which we know change happens constantly. You make that 1 degree shift in your life, in your business, in your relationships, in your health. Okay. Then fast forward a year, 5, 10 years down the road, what happens? How incredibly powerful that can be. Okay. And I posted a graph that I drafted up where a 1% difference, you break down your daily habits, you break down your business, break down your life, into all of the things, all the different components, and you make a 1% improvement in any one of those aspects, okay, over the course of 1 year, that's a 38% increase in whatever that thing is. Okay, so if you want to talk income, okay, if you're making six figures or you're making exactly $100,000 a year, you break down how that happened and you change one little aspect and you improve by 1%, that's another $38,000 on the end of that year. That's another salary for some people. Okay, like that's crazy to me. So anyway, I look at that relationship with her, and it means so many things. It's a Swiss Army knife of meaning for me in my own life, that I don't even think we have enough time to dive into fully answering that question. But really, and I think if I can extrapolate even further for the listener, take a look at your life. Maybe it's not for yourself, right? Maybe it's not even for you, okay? Maybe it's for that one person in your life. Maybe it's for a previous version of yourself. Maybe it is that person that told you can't do it. Maybe it's your higher power or the universe or energy or whatever you believe in that puts you in these situations so you could learn a thing or two, so you could move forward and use those lessons to help others. Like, I don't believe we came this far, so to speak, to only come this far. I think we go through certain things so we can learn, so we can grow, so we can adjust, and then we can teach others. And we can reach back and lift the other crab out of the bucket, so to speak, and move on and do some cooler and cooler things. So that's my rant on that. My little girl kind of means a lot to me.
And you didn't want to answer the question.
No, I didn't.
So my goodness, there's so much beauty, so much brilliance within that. The overriding thing that I will take from that is connecting back to something you said much earlier, which is the people who sometimes don't know or ignore what they're not knowing or should be doing. And for me, I think it's come down to being self-aware. And that's what I see a big theme of what you're saying. You have to take ownership, take responsibility, become self-aware for everything you're doing, and sometimes more difficult for everything you're not doing. And identify the reason, why aren't I doing it? That was it for me. Why aren't I doing these things? I get so angry and jealous and frustrated when I see others doing it because I know darn well I should be doing it. And they're shining a light for me. They're a mirror for me to say, hey, Josh, get off the couch and do it. Now I have to take a cold, hard look and identify, well, why aren't I doing it? And then that's where that small, which echoes exactly what I said. You say the 1%. For me, it's just making those small adjustments to, what's unhealthy in your life. You just have to be aware of it and go with it. And for me, it was utter fear of everything, fear of ridicule, fear of, they say failure, but I've already felt like one. So there goes that theory. But you wallow in what you have to for all the reasons, because I showed up as the person I thought others expected me to be. So I would just continue to fail, to play it small and say they are right, but no more.
Absolutely. You are now unhidden. You are unmasked and freaking killing it. I love that. And you know what? Here's a little practical tool that I use and I would recommend. And I've seen this in action, so I want to share this. I was actually speaking at this event last year in April, and I opened up a little Q&A at the end, and we only had time to get to one question. And this lady stands up and she says, Michael, I freaking appreciate your honesty and the raw nature of your presentation. I have a direct question for you. She tells me a little bit about her situation and the fact that she's not really taking action in her business. Okay. And she asked me why I think that is. Okay. Now, hearing that question, there could be a million different answers to that. And I took a little bit of a gamble on a theory that I had that we already know and we're pretending not to know. And so I told her, I was like, I could give you my theories. I could ask you a billion questions here, but let me just say this. I think you already know. I'm going to bet that you already know why you're not taking those actions. And I leave it at that. And she breaks down in tears and she says, yeah, I know exactly. I know exactly. You know what I mean? Like that's real. That's real. And when we stop pretending, we just stop pretending to not know who we are or what we want. We stop ignoring that fiery, passionate pit in the center of our soul, our stomach, our solar plexus, wherever it happens to be for you. When we stop ignoring that and we talk about it and we start gaining that clarity, and like you said, Josh, pushing past the resistance of what is what we're used to, the comfort, we already know like if we want different results in our life, we've got to be doing different things. We've got to be taking different actions. And the thing we've never experienced or had in our life before is on the other side of that comfort zone, because we've been doing X, Y, and Z, and it provides X, Y, and Z. But if you've wanted 1, 2, and 3, we've got to kind of break past the X, Y, and Z and start doing 1, 2, 3. And that's when we really learn and we really grow. And I'm going to tell you right now, there is no failure in that. There really isn't. You cannot fail if you're going towards the thing that you want. Now, it might be difficult. You might, your relationship might take a beating, right? Your mental, your mental health may need some boosting. Okay. Depression, anxiety, those things can be real. But I'm going to tell you right now, when you're focused on that real goal that you have, the thing that you can do, that you've always wanted to do, depression I can see you later. Okay. I don't have time for depression now. Anxiety I think can be healthy, and it happens. Like I get anxious every once in a while. I'm like, ooh, okay. This week was rough. Okay. This month was kind of hairy. And that was a hair joke because I am a bald man. Okay. But all of that stuff is now doable. All the big monumental mountainous challenges that you thought were there, you realize how tiny they are and how simple they are to get past, because you don't want the challenge anymore. You want the goal. And where your energy goes, your life tends to flow. And so, gosh,
yeah,
we just get to stop pretending and take accountability for who we are, what we want, and really go after that, and some tough decisions get to be made. But it's all for you changing the world. I mean, ultimately, you're changing your world, and vicariously you're changing this entire planet. That's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that by briefly adding the concept of F that noise, which became the actual process for what I did and how I did it. F that noise. So it's the 5-step process, NOISE, noise. Simply put, we're talking about emotion, and I'll just, for now, gloss over these. I have other videos on it we can link to, but we're talking about emotion. So the first thing you want to do is name the emotion. You have to name it and put a name to it. What is that emotion? Is it anger? Is it frustration? Is it anxiety? Is it boredom? Is it jealousy? What is it? Just name it. Then the O, you want to own it. It's yours. Take ownership of that emotion. You don't want to put it on anybody else. It's yours, which gives you the power. This is always such a big thing. We always give away our power and say, oh, but they make me upset. They make me, it's them when they change. No way. Big light bulb revelation. Own it for you. The I, identify with it. Say, okay, I am angry. Admit it to yourself there. I am frustrated. I am jealous. I am bored. I am confused. Whatever the emotion is, identify with it. Then S, you want to sit with it. After you name it, own it, and identify, sit with it for a little bit, a few hours, a few days, and just start to become aware how and when it arrives. What are the circumstances? Where does it happen? Who are the people? What things do you do to emit these emotions? What do you do? And the reason you want to do that is so then eventually you can create a pattern interrupt and slowly but surely just alter your reaction to those events. And then finally, the only inevitable outcome of all of this is the E, which is to evolve. You will eventually evolve into the person you want to become. slowly but surely over time. And you know what? That's the good thing. This isn't an instant fix, but it's a legitimate fix over time. The definition of evolve is to slowly change over time, and the Latin root word is evolvere, which means just that. So NOISE is what helped me arrive where I am today.
F that noise. I love it, man. So brilliant, and 100% accurate. Gosh,
Thank
so
you.
crucial, so crucial. I really love the I in noise. Identify with it.
Tell me.
Gosh, like that's probably the hardest part for me, honestly. Even today, when I'm upset or I'm angry, like I'm usually focused on solutions, so I don't even take a second to just say, wow, I'm really upset about that thing. And wow, how much accountability and responsibility do we get with just identifying with it? So that's brilliant, man. That's great. That's
Thank
great.
you. Thank you. Let me ask you, so you have almost 5,000 members in your mastermind, the 5-figure work week. So you see a lot. You've been around the block. You work very closely with a lot of just brilliant, amazing people. So you have all of this, all of these case studies that you see at varying places. So if somebody is just coming from a 0-figure work week, let's say, and they're like, oh yeah, I can get behind this. How do you begin to work with them? What areas is it? Is it from the top down? Is it the mind? And is it strategy? Is it, let's get your brand, your business? Where does it begin?
Yeah, so when we start talking about figures, when we start talking about making money in a business, there's two suggestions. One, I start looking at the practical, the tangibles of what people would pay you for. That's step one. And this is my own 2 cents. Like, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist, or other medical professional, but I wholeheartedly believe that you can create money in your business and not 100% be there mentally yet. Okay. And I think this is my thing. One can attribute and help the other. Okay. So working on your mindset can definitely impact your business. Working on your business can definitely impact your mindset. I was not in the best space living in my car, starting my business, and then made $5,000 over the next 72 hours. Okay. That's a real thing. I wasn't 100% there yet. Okay. So I'm going to say that. I'm going to preface this by saying there's really 4 pieces that I would look at right now if you're wanting to start something, a side hustle. You're quitting your job tomorrow. You quit 3 months ago and you're looking to start something now. 4 things, these 4 things. Number 1 is get really clear on who you are, what you stand for, what you believe in, what you don't believe in. Get really okay with those things internally. Okay. Just know thyself. Okay. Number 2 is know who you want to serve. Now, I can't pretend to know every entrepreneurial type that listens to this show, okay? But knowing who you serve, why you're doing what you're doing, for whom you're doing it with or for, that's crucial. And I don't mean just demographics. I don't just mean like what can you find on paper, but like literally their psychographics. What do they think? What do they think about every single day? What do they actually want to accomplish in their business or in their life or whatever you're helping them with? Okay, what do they really want to accomplish? But also, what is their big struggle right now? Get really clear on those things. Okay, number 3 is knowing what you offer. You cannot get paid unless you have something to offer. Okay, and I'll say this: there's a lot of coaches, speakers, mentors out there right now, and I'm gonna say this out loud, that have nothing to offer. Okay, they talk a lot. They have something that they say. They gain attention online or in person. And there's nothing on the back end of that. That is super frustrating to say, man, I'm a coach and nobody's hiring me as their coach. I'm a speaker, but nobody has me on their stage. And quite frankly, it's because you have nothing that you're offering. That's paramount. It's number 1. If you're going to make money, you got to have something to offer. It could be literally anything, but you've got to have something that you offer. And more clearly, if you're a coach, speaker, mentor, those are my people. So I'm kind of keeping it in that frame. Have a program, have an online course, have an in-person workshop or mastermind, have a subscription. Like there's so many different things, but you've got to have a thing somebody can pay money for. Okay. Kind of paramount. Number 4, and I think this is the biggest one, is to know the results that you deliver. Okay. That's like the biggest thing. If nothing else, you can hear the term 5-figure work week. That's the name of my business. That's the name of the mastermind, membership group, the retreat. Everything is revolved around the 5-figure work week, because that is the result that I hope to give. I hope to give the ability to my client to create, have a business that can garner $10,000 or more in their business in a week's period. That's my hope, is that they can actually see that happen and take it from there, snowball it. You know, instead of thinking like it's 10K a week, let's think 99K a week. Like, how do we get there? Like, that's the result. Okay. So we got to talk about results. Those 4 pieces, when you get extremely clear internally, then you can get really clear externally. How you show up when, you know, if you do interviews like this, if you speak on stage, if you're online, if you're in person, you got a retail shop, whatever it is, like, how are you showing up? What are you saying? Are you conveying the message to your people? What does your branding look like? Okay. Like, what does that all look like? And what's cooler than cool is the fact that if you know all 4 of those points internally, all the other questions, like what should your logo look like? What should your video be about? What should your presentation on stage be? Like, it's all answered because you know exactly who you are. You know what you're offering and to whom, and you know the result that can happen by being there and experiencing that with the person. So get super clear on those 4 pieces internally, then externally. This is an ongoing thing. It's an ongoing thing, but those 4 pieces, this will get you from a 0-figure to a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-figure work week.
Wow. My goodness. Thank you. Thank you. That is incredible. I'm going to wrap it up with a final question for you that is really influenced by, do you remember or have watched the show Inside the Actor's Studio?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So the host used to end the show with a series of 10 really great questions. And I'm going to pose one to you, Michael Marcial. And it's simply this: if heaven exists and you arrive at the pearly gates, what greeting would you most like to hear?
It would have to be this. If I were standing there, it would be welcome home.
Just got the chills. Yeah.
Okay.
I love it. No, I'm because it's deliberate, it's profound, it's wonderful. I get it. It's great.
Cool.
Whew.
Awesome.
All right. Well,
Woo.
Thank you. This has been certainly better than I could have thought, hoped, or expected. My man, thank you for coming back 50 episodes later. Maybe we'll book episode 100. I'm just saying.
Boom. You already know I'm down for that. Dang. I'm so down. Well, and it's an honor to be here, man. I super appreciate you. Like I said, time and time before, I absolutely love what you're doing. People follow this man. He is definitely on track and he's on fire. I can totally substantiate everything that he's saying. It's so relevant right now. Please take note, make note, and follow Josh Cary.
Amazing. Thank you kindly, Michael Marcial. We're going to link to likewise to follow you and to become part of your world if our listeners are not yet. Really awesome. We'll continue the dialogue. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you for 50 incredible episodes. Here's to the next 50. We'll talk to you soon. As always, go get 'em.